Pregame.com.
This is Brad Powers, the pregame.com studios just off the Vegas Strip. We're counting down my top 25 power-rated teams entering the 2018 college football season. And particularly in this video, we're going over my number 4 rated team. It's the Georgia Bulldogs, fresh off an SEC championship and fresh off a near national championship where they came up just short in overtime against Alabama in the title game. This year's Georgia team, main reason why they're at number 4 and not in the top 2. Let's talk about the significant production loss for Georgia, where they lose their top 4 players. Starting on offense, they lost not only Georgia, their number 2 all-time leading rusher in Nick Chubb, but also lost their number 3 all-time leading rusher in Sony Michel, both guys taken in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft. Also on the offensive line, they lose the All-American left tackle Isaiah Wynn, who goes in the first round of the NFL draft. And on the defensive side of the ball, they lose their top defensive player, one of the best players in all of college football on the defensive side, Roquan Smith, the leader in the middle of that defense, who also went in the top 10 of the NFL draft. So significant production loss for Georgia. But the main reason why Georgia's still in my top 4, hey guys, that cupboard isn't bare. If you're following recruiting rankings like I do the last couple of years, well, I'll tell you what, no team in America has recruited better the last 2 classes than Georgia. Number 3 recruiting class 2 years ago, and this year at Georgia, where they signed the top class in the country. And I'll give you a couple names to put in your back pocket as far as around the water cooler this summer, around the pool. I'll give you one at quarterback. Everyone knows Jake Fromm, who led Georgia to the national title game as a true freshman last year. Jake Fromm could get beat out this year by Justin Fields. I would say physically gifted, one of the more physically gifted high school quarterbacks I've seen, and could play starting this season for Georgia, beating out Jake Fromm. And also at running back, DeAndre Swift. You saw some glimpses of him replacing Michelle and Chubb last year. He'll get more of the workload this year. And Zamir White, the number 1 rated running back coming out of high school, Georgia. That cupboard not bare. That's why they're still in the top 4. But best bet involving Georgia right now for me is week 2, where you can get down and bet this play right now here in Vegas. I'm going to take Georgia's opponent, South Carolina, plus 14. South Carolina at home. And speaking of home for South Carolina, they've been as good as anybody in the country here. Last 64 games, South Carolina 50-14 at home. Williams-Brice Stadium, one of the more underrated atmospheres in all of college football. This is Will Muschamp's best South Carolina team yet. And it's a South Carolina team that went to Athens last year and competed very well with Georgia, only lost by 14. So take South Carolina plus 14 at home over Georgia in week 2. We'll have more team previews, more videos, pregame.com.